Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Panda Wrestling Company and TGN Networks proudly brings to you the most slept-on podcast in the world! Super Beard Vince Hoover, the Devil God Jamal Jones, wrestling with Toxicity! Whew. Oh, I got lightheaded again. I'm gonna pass out one of these days doing that. I know what's gonna happen. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling with Toxicity. I am, of course, Super Beard Vince Hoover, joined as always by Devil God Jamal Jones, and we are at episode 3 of Wrestling with Toxicity right here on the Panda Wrestling Company, as well as the Geeks and Noobs, or otherwise known as TGN Networks. As always, please hit that follow button. If you're on the Panda Wrestling Company, hit it there. If you're following us on the Geeks and Noobs Network, follow us there. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We've already got some comments coming out of Bartow, Florida. Greetings from Bartow, Florida. Not sure how long I'm going to be here, because I have to work at 4 a.m. By the way, I don't know if anyone is listening to Sizzlefit, but don't. He is a waste. I got banned from his channel because I was busy and didn't type something in his chat. I don't know who... Sean Viewsent. I don't know who Sean Viewsent is, but that's the toxic people that we don't like to deal with. Exactly. Also, Zach on the PWC says hi. Once again, please like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. If you're here on Twitch, please, if you're able to financially, please subscribe on the PWC and on the Geeks and Noobs. If you want, you have a Prime subscription. You can make Amazon Prime pay for it, make Jeffrey Bezos pay for it. On the other one, it's just $5.99 or $4.99 a month. Also, we are now live on Trovo. Trovo is a new streaming service very similar to Twitch, Trovo.live. And if you're following us on there, it's only $1.99 to subscribe. So there's also that.
Sounds cheap to me.
Sammy Generico, more Panda Friends, new Panda Friends, as always. Yes, we love it.
I love the name. Sammy Generico?
Yeah, that's great. I like it. So once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. We are back. It is week 3 of the PWC. Week 3 of Wrestling with Toxicity and more things that rhyme with E. So we are looking good thus far. We're up and running. Everybody sounds good. Everybody looks good. I believe we are also live on the Panda Wrestling Company Facebook as well as their Twitter. So we are live all over the place now. So we're reaching all kinds of new faces, all kinds of new ears. So hopefully you guys love what you're getting in your ear holes. And if not, take it anyways.
Yeah.
That being said, welcome to the show. Today we're going to talk about something pretty interesting. As you know, this podcast is all about fighting toxicity within the internet wrestling community. And something has happened recently in the wrestling community. We've had this huge resurgence from the WWE with Vince McMahon retiring and Triple H coming in and making immediate, impactful change within the show. One of those changes is that we're getting more pro wrestling on the show. We're getting longer matches, and not just the main event being. We're getting all kinds of matches being long. As a great example, this past Monday Night Raw, Bobby Lashley and AJ Styles went for 22 minutes, and they weren't even the main event.
Nope, not at all. It was a great match too.
Very, very well done.
One thing.
Hell, the impromptu match between Drew and Kevin Owens was also phenomenal, with phenomenal promos leading up. That match, I think, went 14 minutes.
Give or take.
And, but there's been 2 complaints to come out of this show that I've seen recently. One being that, why are they still doing DQ finishes in the case of the Drew McIntyre Kevin Owens match? But, like, how do you finish that match? You can't put Drew under. Drew can't take the pin because he's fighting for the championship coming up. But you're rebuilding Kevin Owens as the prize fighter. You need that and that distraction or not distract disqualification had to do with the story in what Drew has going on. It also planted a seed. Kevin Owens possibly going after the title because he even said the tribal chief owes me one. So like, there's this whole narrative that goes along with it.
There's a
My
lot of
biggest,
people back in the ring for this one.
yeah, but the biggest complaint is that the same people who tried to bury WWE saying they were not a wrestling company, they didn't care about matches, they didn't care about wrestling, they just cared about having people cut promos, and all the matches were way too short, are now complaining, and I mean the exact same people, are now complaining that the matches are too long and we're missing out on the story because we're not getting as many segments in between because we were getting 20-minute matches. And yes, Jason on YouTube says, "Can you believe that AJ versus Bobby was their first time ever?" It is kind of hard to believe that they haven't crossed paths in the time since AJ has joined WWE, but
No,
yeah,
and then they
maybe you can explain to me why people are now completely flipping script and complaining about matches being too long.
I don't I can't 100% explain it, but it's weird. It's very weird that folks are now upset that there's too much wrestling and not enough segments. I'm like, at first you had way too many segments and not enough wrestling. And it was like they were squished so much, so many different weird segments in that the matches kind of didn't have anywhere to be. Now you're getting lengthy matches, full, stories being told in the ring as they should be, and folks don't like it. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Starts with F. Rhymes with pickle. Oh yeah, pickle. Yeah, that's what we're looking for today.
Yeah, the same
Because
thing we talked about last week. It's just more prevalent now than ever.
like pick a struggle. Pick a struggle and stick to it because it's either you're gonna like it or you're not.
Well, one of the things that's like I keep hearing that people like the complaint is, well, these matches are too long and I'm not getting the story.
Story is the match.
Pro wrestling is about telling a story between the ropes. It
Yeah,
isn't all about promos, especially if you go back in time when they weren't even really doing promos when pro wrestling started. But you know, and Jericho brings up there is somebody who no matter what WWE does will complain. It's just something that will inherently happen. Yes, exactly, and that is toxic, and that is
I
the
hate
bane
one.
of this entire podcast existence. Is that these people are toxic and they're hypocrites. And one of the thing is, we know it's going to inherently happen, but we can't ignore the problem thinking it'll go away. We need to call these people out. We need to make them show proof of their argument and as to why they've suddenly flipped because they can't. Because at the end of the day, it's just that they're bitching about WWE to bitch about WWE, and once they're
Exactly.
confronted with that, and you can confront them in a very nice way. I know confront sounds like a very harsh word. There are mature and uh, professional ways of confronting these people, but ask them for evidence as to why. Ask them for evidence as to what they really think is going on, and have them explain why they've suddenly flipped on their script, and they can't do it, and it's gonna eliminate it because then it's gonna be like, oh, we're seeing your true colors. You just want to bitch. Now your word has no meaning.
What's up,
Husky,
Husky?
husky, husky. How you doing, my man? So, go ahead.
It's mm, when it comes to arguments like that, the whole, you know, I don't like WWE just because it's WWE crap, and then you ask the pivotal question of why. What are they doing wrong? What's so wrong with the product that you don't like it? And like you said, they usually don't have an answer. It's usually always crickets, or if they do decide to elaborate, it's always some nonsensical backing behind it. It makes absolutely no sense, and they do nothing but double down on this just hate train that they're riding on. That's all it is. They just dislike it for the sake of being cool. It's like people who don't like Arby's but don't don't or never have eaten there. It's like, what do you not like about it? Well, it's because it's Arby's.
Yeah, if you've never eaten it, how do you know it's bad?
Exactly.
Because
Like,
somebody else bitched about it? Like,
ex-
don't jump on a train without testing it yourself.
exactly.
There's also like, we get all these people, like, it's on Wrestle Talk, it's all over the wrestling internet media. Like, I was watching a video from What Culture earlier today, and I typically like What Culture. They're usually pretty good. Simon Miller to me is one of the best people on the internet. Love him to death. And he is one of the few people in the wrestling media, yeah, exactly, that is, as he likes to put it, is a positive Pete. He tries his best to put a positive spin on everything. He's even on his ups and downs show giving ups to things that he's like, oh, well, this isn't great, but I'm going to give it an up because I want to see where it goes. Like, he's got a very positive outlook. However, on that same channel, you have somebody like Andy H. Murray, who used to be just like Simon,
Yeah.
but is now, first off, every chance he gets, he tries to bury Vince McMahon as a senile, terrible demon of a human being. Even though he's no longer with the company, he's still trying to bury the man.
It makes
Um,
sense.
he's like, I was like, oh, just because it's a new, the disqualification thing came from this thought. Oh well, just because it's a new era with Triple H, we can't forgive him for using. They need to be cut cold turkey, go away. That's not how that works. Even his
No.
co-host was like, well, I don't expect him to go away completely, just as long as they make sense. No, no, and like, and then to go on to praise a disqualification in AEW. Like,
It's
it's just this
it's
anti WWE
yeah,
movement. And but let
it
me say this.
is.
Let me say this. For every anti WWE toxic asshole, there is an equal and opposite anti AEW toxic asshole.
Yes, there is.
So I'm not saying it's just towards one company. They're all there.
I say ebb and flow to it. It's definitely that. Some people just don't like something because it's different. It's not what they're used to or what they're standing at the particular moment. But the thing is, we wouldn't have this divide had, and I say this time and time again, we wouldn't have this divide if AEW didn't create it. It wasn't AEW's, it wasn't their conception that they created it. It's the way they went about it. Their whole marketing trip leading into their first shows was anti WWE. It was very anti WWE. Their very first event that Cody and everybody put together was extremely anti WWE with the opening with Cody breaking the throne. It's it was evident that they were like, we're you know we're the alternative to what you're normally watching. The WWE name drops week in and week out. They're still fucking doing, which is cheesy as shit at this point. Um, it and WWE's only acknowledged them what once.
Once, maybe twice.
Yeah, I think
Well,
twice.
I probably like a handful of times, but they're more subtle.
Yeah,
Because I know,
the
like,
only
Edge said
time.
that Edge had mentioned that people on another show are talking about you, Miz, and there was
Yeah.
the flat out AEW thing when Sammy was, during that question segment. You guys didn't ask me
Mhm.
about AEW. There was also the Hall of Fame with DX. There's been maybe
Yeah.
a handful of times, but
Yeah, and it's never
I'll
been
say
as
this:
frequent.
it reminds me of back in the day when ECW started to get big as a pure alternative to what was on television. It was a pure alternative to
Mhm.
WCW and WWE because WCW was just another version of WWE.
At that
It
point,
was
yeah, yeah.
sports entertainment. So ECW was a variation. What's funny about that is that when ECW started to go really hard into we are the alternative, we are better than them, we are different than them, was when Paul Heyman was getting fed money by Vince McMahon to fund the company. And that was all part of the plan because the plan was to eventually bleed ECW people into WWE as almost like an invasion kind of thing before the invasion angle actually happened after the WCW buyout.
Mhm.
Um, and like AEW. I think they're getting better about getting back to telling stories, but most matches don't have a ring psychology to um, just long spot fest. But there are people who love that, and that's great. And go watch that. I still watch AEW. I think some of the matches are great, even when they don't tell a story. There's some really cool and fun matches. Generico says, I think a
Yeah,
lot of people are beginning to think their opinion is fact, and if they're told they're wrong, they rage. No one is okay with being told they're wrong and just accepting it and growing as a person. It goes straight to conflict. And this is, you're absolutely right. And we see this a
hell
ton
yeah.
on Wrestle Talk.
Oh boy.
And here's the problem. And here's the problem. There is that those people who think their opinion is fact, they get their egos fed by the good people of Wrestle Talk, because there are people on that app who are straight up toxic, but they're the good people on Wrestle Talk is like, oh, that's just kind of an act. It's all for TikTok. He's actually, or she's actually, a really good person in real life, and that's why I'm friends with them. That's why I go live with them. That's why I do this and that with them. Because the reality is, they're actually a really good person. The toxicity is just an act. It doesn't matter. That's actually worse.
Stop building a kind of brand.
Yeah,
Don't
it's one thing
build
if
a
you're
brand based on negativity.
blindly toxic, you can check yourself and be like, if somebody calls you out, you can eventually check yourself and go, wait a minute, maybe I am the problem. When it is an act and it is a conscious choice to be that person, that's borderline sociopathic behavior, all for clout.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's a
yeah.
problem. Mr. B
We,
roll, how
uh,
are you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
yeah, I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff. Like, how can you willingly become toxic just for the sake of traction? But it, like they say, bad news travels fast, and negativity breeds negativity. And for some reason, people are more attracted to negativity than anything else. Hence, is why even outside of wrestling, people like Andrew Tate are
Yeah.
always in the airwaves because all he does is breed negativity. And what happens is he gets all of these guys who've been, you know, closetly thinking the way he thinks, who never had anybody with a massive enough platform to, give him that echo chamber. And now that he's done that, here they come. Here come the bros. Here come the the other little mini Andrew Tates of the world, just coming in and backing him up, in troves. It's the same thing with Wrestle Soccer. People who create negative content or have these these weird or these very standoffish takes. They're not looking for alternative ideas or differing opinions. They're looking to create an echo chamber. They're only here to listen to people who think like them, and that's not how that works. Especially when you post content on a regular basis.
Jericho makes another great point here, is that there's also the people who think in their mind that they know how things should be. People who are 100% certain that once Vince was gone, it was going to go back to the glory days. And when it isn't that right away, they complain, even though they're raging against a made up scenario in their mind. That's the biggest issue right there, is that
Yep.
these people make up these scenarios in their mind. We see it a lot, especially in, like, say, Marvel fandom, like the
Oh
MCU
God.
fandom, where people come up with their own theories. And then when that theory doesn't happen, Marvel is MCU and it's woke and it's all this BS, and all because my theory that I made up, even though I have no experience in the industry, I don't talk to anybody in the industry, I have nothing to do with Marvel whatsoever, but I came up with this theory that should have happened and it didn't happen, and because my feelings are hurt, everything is terrible. Same thing happens in wrestling, happens in Star Wars, happens in all the fandoms. It's the toxic side of things. And I think that this instant gratification of social media nowadays has created this whole my opinion equals fact, and we're seeing that. And the thing is too is like you mentioned, negativity breeds negativity. I mean, there's a trend going right now on Wrestle Talk, created by a wonderful creator who is normally very anti-toxic, who literally created. I'm talking about Weezus. She created this whole. I know we're supposed to be spreading positivity, but I feel like violence. So let's call for violence. Let's tell me a take that's going to start an argument. Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that?
I took part in
It
that.
hasn't been fun at all. People, arguments have started, fights have happened, internet trolling has gotten even worse from it. The same thing happens in Marvel. We have people in Marvel who literally play a character, and I'm gonna call him out. I don't care. Cuban Crusher. Guy pretends to be this testosterone-filled jock who calls everybody nerds if they like anything, and he takes this
Oh,
very masculine role. But then you see him at movie premieres with like Straw Hat Goofy and Jay Stoobs, and they're all having fun, and they're like, "Oh, he's not really like that. It's all an act." Why is he getting? Why are people benefiting off of it? And it's because people are benefiting off it that we're not going to see change until
I
we
took
come.
part in that little trend. I took part in that little trend. I did, but I feel like my take was
Well, yeah,
very
but
minor.
your take was like you were basically calling out toxicity in your
Yeah,
take.
yeah.
You weren't actually calling for an argument. You were just calling out toxicity in your take. I was gonna do it too, but I'm just like, you know what? I just don't even want to feed this in any way, shape, or form. And nothing against
Mhm.
me. I think she's great. I think she's awesome, and it's rare for her to take this side of things. And even though we don't agree on everything, we can have discussions.
Yeah,
But there are other people who have
there were a
never been
lot
in
of
the
bad.
business.
There were a lot of bad ones.
Yeah, there are people who are barely 21, 22 years old, who have never been
Mm.
in the business, who are going to say that, well, this is how it should be, and this is because this is how wrestling is, when they weren't even alive for the Attitude Era. Um, there are people,
Ooh,
there are people who claim to be, you know, these big bad people, but all they ever did was show up to an indie show, maybe wrestle in a battle royal, whatever. I have trained as a professional wrestler for years. I trained at the Steve Kearns School of Hard Knocks, which WWE bought because it was such a good school. They bought it, turned it into FCW, and it is now NXT. I trained with Steve Kearn. I trained with some of the best on the indies right now. Roderick Strong was one of my trainers. I spent 4 years going over the entire southeast of America, wrestling 6 days a week. And I will still never talk as if I know everything about the business. I will still never talk like I know everything about what goes on in the ring. Because even though after 4 years of wrestling on a regular basis, I was still what they consider green. And I 100% agree with that because I still had a lot to learn. There's
like that.
too, there's too many people who think their opinion, and as Generico had said, think their opinion is more important than it actually is.
It's
It's
not
just an opinion, and if people disagree on opinions, then just let them disagree.
exactly. You don't have to. You don't have to jump down people's throats or anything like that. Also, as content creators, for any content creators who are watching right now, when you give any type of a take, does not matter if it's just a soft take or a hot take or whatever. Constructive criticism is always on the way. Does not matter if it's from a commenter, a a big creator, or somebody who creates content who are on the uprise. People who like have less than 1,000 views. Constructive criticism is always going to be around the corner. Does not matter what you say. You have to you have to learn how to take this shit with a grain of salt. You do. You just have to. You got to learn to brush it off and don't react to everything. People are not attacking you for your takes. People may disagree, people may agree, but no one is outright attacking you. Now, if they get personal and start, being derogatory towards you, that's different. You handle that as you see fit. But if someone just says, "I don't like your take," and this is what I take away from it, and then they go on to explain theirs. That's not them attacking you. That's literally them uh, voicing an alternative to what you said. It's just it's that's all it is. Also, objective and subjective are two different things. Because
Amen.
when you said when you said that about the Weezus trend, there was one video that stuck out to me where this creator decided that he was going to say that AEW was. He didn't say subjectively. He said objectively better than the entire Attitude Era. The take made no sense, and Like, dude, it's subjective because this is how you feel. That's your preference. That's what
Yeah.
you think, and you're valid in you're valid in that take. That's on you. That's what you like. Not gonna do anything about that. But to say it's objectively better, you have to prove that to me. I looked at the stats. It's not.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Not even.
Um, yeah, it's just like we've seen. Like, I think a great example is because I think what happens with social media, and it happens again in every fandom, but especially in wrestling fandoms. Some people believe that their platform is the same as them and their friends hanging out. And like a great example of that was this past week. You know, unfortunately, the Outside the Brand with Phil, they were a little late coming in because they were doing the TikTok live debate
Mhm.
over Team Ronda versus Team Liv. But that was a group of friends having a fun and friendly debate that sounded heated at times, but they were laughing and they were having fun as friends. And it just so happened that people could watch what they were doing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But that, like, if you're in a group of friends and you guys are having a kind of like toxic, it all goes back to um, that old TikTok sound that's from that video about Wicked Witch, about Wizard of Oz.
Oh
She
God,
was a
yeah.
witch. You know that argument between friends. It sounds
Hmm.
heated, but the reality is, you know, you all love each other. You're all friends. Everything's good. Everything's peachy. But you can have what from the outside may look like a bit of a toxic argument. The problem is that people have taken that idea and slapped it to social media as if all of their followers and all the people who, the millions of eyes that lay on it, are people who can, oh well, they know me, they know that I don't mean this in a toxic way. No, they don't. They don't
No,
know
they
you.
don't.
None of them know you.
No, they don't.
Hell, on TikTok, over 20% of all your followers are bots.
That is very
More
true.
than TikTok, more than any other social media platform, has the highest percentage. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you're at about 5 to 7% of all your followers are bots.
Yep.
On TikTok, it's anywhere from 20 to 30%
Hmm.
of your followers are bots. And I'm not talking about you going through and trying to clear all those obvious bots. There are tons of bots that you don't even realize.
Nope.
You know, so like, yeah, oh my God, I've got 1 million followers. Well, 200,000 to 300,000 of them are not real.
Nope. They're just
That's why
they're
your
just
view
fake.
count, you're only getting you're only getting a view count of like 10 to 12K when you've got 1 million followers.
Exactly. Shit makes no sense.
Travis, how's it going, my man? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh,
So we're having a conversation about toxicity in the fandom. We're having a
mhm.
conversation about the hypocrisy in the fandom and how people are just looking for reasons to bitch. And this whole started with, you know, you've now got people bitching that the matches are too long on WWE, when those same exact people were bitching that the matches were way too short and the wrestlers weren't getting to be wrestlers. We're literally calling it out now. Drew
It's
Drew
crazy.
McIntyre's promo from Raw. One,
It's
you could tell
great.
it was completely unscripted. He fumbled his words. Did my camera freeze?
Yeah, a little bit.
Bitch. Una momento, por favor. I'll keep talking. You can still hear me.
Yeah.
Um, it's because my Zoom is. I gotta figure out what's going on with Zoom. I did an update on Zoom, and now it's like, oh, it's not responding. It's been doing this for the last couple weeks. We'll figure it out. Give it a second. You guys can still hear me, right? Let me
Yeah,
know in
yeah.
chat. Let me know in
Coming
chat
through
if you can
clear.
still hear us. You can still hear us in
Coming through.
chat, right?
You're
I'm gonna
coming
go
through
with
clear. I'm like,
yes. I know there's a delay. Um,
yeah.
yeah, so thank you, Generico. So we'll go with the audio for a second. It'll be a little weird looking, and I'm gonna be look like I'm looking down trying to pee or something. Um, Drew McIntyre very much cut a completely unscripted promo this past, and so did Kevin Owens.
There you go.
And so that's the shitty camera. Hang on, get back to the good one. I I pride myself on production value here.
Hey.
Um, back to there we go. Hey everybody. All right. You could tell that they just gave them bullet points and they just went at it. Very fiery promo from Kevin Owens, very fiery promo from Drew McIntyre. But when he said, it's like, I don't care if you're a sports entertainer, this and that. You and I are wrestlers, so let's wrestle. and they went out and had a banger.
Yep.
And thank you, Travis. So like Triple H knows what has to be done.
Oh yeah.
It's only been a couple weeks. Can we give him some time? Like let's give him time. I mentioned this when this news first came out. It's going to take at least 6 months before we're really in the full on 100% Triple H era,
Yeah.
because they're not going to scrap storylines that have been going on for a couple months. He's not going to do that. He's not going to just like. There was two options. Triple H could have come out on Monday Night Raw, the Raw before SummerSlam, be like, "Hey, Vince McMahon is gone. It's a new era. Everything you knew, we're starting over from scratch," which would have been shit.
Yeah,
Or
that
he
would've
can
been
just subtly continue to bring in what he wants to bring in, let those other storylines play out, continue to bring in the people he wants to bring in as well, which he's been doing. Another fantastic Dexter Loomis segments throughout the night. I especially love the waving the arm during the backstage battle between Dolph Ziggler and
so
Theory. There's just this arm waving by the door. That was hilarious
just
to me. It was
it was
amazing.
just out of nowhere. It's like, what is going on here?
So Travis is like, I believe after WrestleMania 39 or the Raw on the third, it is going to be the real kickoff. I don't even think
Yeah.
we're going to wait that long. I do believe that we're starting to see, like, I give it till like most of the plans besides the Cody Rhodes plan are going to be tied up here. Like those loose ends will be tied up here shortly, and I believe before day one, we'll have a full on. Generico says October the latest. I think maybe Survivor Series. We might see it. I knew. Okay, Raw 30th anniversary show. I thought that's what you meant. My mouth didn't finish getting it out. But yeah, I think that by Survivor Series, it is no. It all remnants of the past are kind of just gone. Um. By the way, I forgot to mention this at the top of the hour. Uh, we are brought to you by Ruthless Coffee. Ruthlesscoffee.com. Use code Panda Coffee for 15% off. We'll mention it again later, but we want to thank our sponsor, Rootless Coffee. So go to rootlesscoffee.com, 15% off with the code Panda Coffee, and that's all non-branded coffee and all merch. But I looked up and saw that because I completely forgot. Sorry. Yeah, I think that my feeling is by Survivor Series, it'll feel like, and Survivor Series is a great show to do it with too, because you can kind of like go back to the old school of people just making their own teams versus a Raw versus SmackDown kind of thing. If we can keep the split shows, but you kind of blend them in a way like they've been doing. Like Drew even mentions, I'm technically a SmackDown wrestler, but I'm here on Raw, because I actually show up to work. I also liked how he called out the wrestling media, the dirt sheets, who've all been saying that he's injured. He's like, it is true. I've hurt my back. I've hurt my back by carrying this company on it for the last 2 years. That was great. So October is a possibility. I think Survivor Series, but most certainly by day one, by the start of 2023, we are 1,000% in the Triple H era. We are 1,000% into his storylines, and people are gonna find new things to bitch about.
Of course.
And suddenly it's gonna be like, oh, Triple H is senile. Triple H needs to go. It's like, shut up. You want battles between the brands? Bring back bragging rights. Let Survivor Series go back to its glory. I agree with that sentiment 1,000%, Generico.
Survivor Series has not been what it once was.
In the last 10 years, we've had, I think, I can count on, I think just one good Survivor Series, and that was the one where NXT won everything.
That was it.
And part of the reason that was so good, and NXT got the wins, because after that Saudi Arabia show where they got kicked off the plane and everybody got held up, and NXT had to come down and carry the ship on that SmackDown, one of the best episodes of SmackDown we've gotten in years. Vince McMahon had no choice but to put them over.
Yeah,
It was
yeah. I
almost
mean,
like
it's
Triple H. Like Triple H went to him and said, "Hey, you need my NXT guys to come last second? Put them over at Survivor Series and we'll talk." I don't think that's what happened, but it felt like that. It felt like, "Oh, we'll come cover your ass. Well, you got to put our guys over at Survivor Series." So that was a great Survivor Series. We
yeah,
haven't had
yeah.
a really good one in like 10 years.
No, not really. No.
Let's get it back to the glory. Let's get it
Yeah,
back to the, just picking teams, heels and face, these two people have a beef. These two people have a beef. They've kind of overlapped. So now we're going to create a team. Now we're going to
hmm
have, let those beefs build.
yeah. And if they're gonna do Raw versus SmackDown,
Okay, so
make it.
Generico clarifies my point. The last Survivor Series that felt epic was either 2001 or 2002 when it debuted The Chamber. So it's been 20 years since we've had a good one.
First grade.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was in first grade.
Shut up, I was 19, you fucker. Goddamn child. 20 in 2022, or 2002. Whatever. Fetus. Anyways, what were you saying before that?
Um, it's I want the Big Four to be the Big Four again. I want the Big Four to feel like the Big Four again. You know, it's not fair that only WrestleMania is treated as the spectacle of the Big Four, and y'all old.
I graduated in 2000, Generico.
Sweet Jesus.
Got it. Anyway. No, but you're
I
right. You're
grabbed
right though. Like I think Royal Rumble for the most part still feels kind of big because it is the kickoff to the road to WrestleMania. Which, by the way,
Yeah.
and I don't know if this is a Triple H decision or this was just simply a marketing thing. They treated the that little party they had for the WrestleMania Hollywood, where tickets are now the ticket kickoff thing.
Yeah.
They made multiple mentions where this is now the road. We're now on the road to WrestleMania,
Hmm.
which I thought was a little weird. I'm like, that's a long build. I don't know if I agree
Makes
with that take, but it could have also just been that we're headed towards WrestleMania Hollywood. We'll have to see if they kind of bring it up during the shows at all, but
mhm.
I thought that was a little weird. But Royal Rumble, for the most part, has still felt fairly big.
Yeah. You know,
This
this
year's
past Super
SummerSlam,
Bowl has
I
many
will say,
surprises.
yeah. But I actually thoroughly enjoyed this last Royal Rumble. It just didn't have as many surprises as people wanted. But I was there in person. I finally got to go, and
Mhm.
that's where I met Panda. That's where this all started, right there.
I've yet to meet the legendary Panda.
Oh, you will one day. Don't worry about that. They're doing stadium shows for a Big Four except Survivor Series, and that's criminal. I agree. Um, I think we can get back to that. If we can build Survivor Series back to something majestic, we can get back to that.
Yeah.
But I felt like this past SummerSlam, which was Triple H's first pay per view, when he was having to go off all the stories that were there, it was very last second for him to take over, but you still felt his fingerprints on things. He had a very good SummerSlam.
Yes, we did.
And the pay per views in general have been good recently. Like this year, we've had a decent amount of good pay per views. And now that Triple H is in charge, I think we're going to see an even better shift. I have a feeling that this Clash at the Castle, although again it was planned before he took over, now going to have his imprint all over it.
Oh yeah.
And I have a feeling this Clash at the Castle is going to be huge. It feels big.
I wonder if there are
Um,
going to be any more returns at this one.
there's more coming. There's absolutely more coming. I feel like one of them is like this women's tag tournament is just to bring back Sasha and Naomi,
Oh yeah.
but they may
I'm
not come back till either right before or at the Clash. Be like, oh, you guys thought you won the tag titles? No, you got to go through us. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of rumors about the Fiend coming back. I don't know about that. Take that all with a huge grain of salt. I don't know, but like this Dexter Loomis story is playing out. We've got other people who are wanting to come back. Does Triple H bring War Games to main the roster at Survivor? Ooh.
Mm.
Now they're still doing War Games in NXT,
Yeah.
but how do you make Survivor Series majestic again? You put a Survivor Series styles match in War Games. This is a brilliant idea, Generica. Why I didn't think about it, I don't know. Maybe because I'm fucking old. I'm an old man and I'm losing my memory because that gets thrown in my face apparently all the goddamn time. Fetuses. No, but seriously, this is a great idea. Let's talk about this. This is a great idea. I don't know necessarily if it happens this year. But again, I think that Survivor Series is where we're going to see the first fully fledged out Triple H pay-per-view. Could he bring War Games to the main roster? Could he bring it? That would be amazing. Even if it was one of those things where, like, every year, like, because what's the problem with Hell in a Cell now? Now that Hell in a Cell has its own pay-per-view, the matches don't mean anything.
No, it just,
very fortunately, we got the build with Cody and Seth. That the third match ended up at that pay-per-view, and then of course the whole pectoral muscle thing added to the drama. But we were just fortunate with the timing of everything there.
Yeah.
But let's say Cody had waited a little bit longer to come back, and he came back right before Hell in a Cell. Is his first match against Seth in Hell in a Cell? That's weird. Hell in a Cell loses its gravitas because it's now a pay-per-view. You have to worry about, and yes, absolutely, Travis, 100%, fuck the red cage. Agree with that 1,000%. It just looks terrible on camera.
It does. Because when they zoom out, it's very weird looking.
If you make War Games the main event portion of Survivor Series, you have to find a way to make sure that, but again, with the big four pay-per-views, you have an easier ability to build to those as a blow-off pay-per-view. So you set it up to where these people are feuding, and you can have, like, here's an example. You have Drew McIntyre on one side, Roman Reigns on the other side. He also brings in the Usos, Drew brings in the Street Profits, or the New Day, whatever. You build a team around that. Those two have a big feud, right? Drew and Roman. You can have the War Games, where they all go after each other because they all have their own individual feuds. It's kind of a blow-off, and yet you can still build to day one or further, keep that feud going. So I think at Survivor Series, you have the ability, if done correctly, that War Games will not lose its majesty, being it's going to be like, we know War Games is coming every year, but we know that we're going to build to it properly.
Instead of oversaturating it or it not having any type of a build, it'll have the full momentum going into it. You don't have to worry about, mishing everything together within a week or 2 weeks time. And that's the issue that's been happening for a while, is a lot of storylines and a lot of match types don't have the momentum behind them like they used to. When a Hell in a Cell match was coming up, it'd be announced weeks in advance type of deal. Like Hell in a Cell was always the culmination. It was one of the like, this is how we're gonna settle this. It was Hell in a Cell and Last Man Standing matches. That's big payoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of gimmick pay-per-views anyways.
No. And once you make it a gimmick pay-per-view, those pay-per-views fall in between the big four.
Yeah.
It makes it harder to build to that because you're already building to the big four. So by putting that War Games on Survivor Series, you're already building to that. So you can use that as a leaping stone for further events, and it doesn't hurt it. Whereas Hell in a Cell coming in between WrestleMania and SummerSlam is one of those pay-per-views. It hurts it. It hurts it a lot. And Generica was absolutely right. Cell lost all the credence with the whole Seth and Fiend situation. But I do think that you got some of it back in this Cody match. You saw what a Hell in a Cell should be. I think you get rid of these gimmick pay-per-views.
Please.
And you go, there's plenty of names.
Go
back to In Your House. Go back to, like you said, bragging rights. No Way Out. Go back, take some of the other Great American Bash. Bring a Great American Bash up to the main roster. Bring like you have so many Halloween Havoc.
Yes,
There's so many things you can do.
it is.
Like even like Extreme Rules.
Mm,
Like even that one, it feels like is too gimmick now. Like it's like, why am I gonna set? I'm in this feud, a feud that kind of just started. Why am I suddenly going back to? Why am I suddenly going back to like now? Like I'm in a feud for a couple weeks, and now I'm in like a tables, ladders, and chairs match with this person. Why?
like for what? Like it doesn't make
Bring back
sense. There's
Judgment Day. Well, we have
yeah,
Judgment Day, and it's Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley.
yeah,
So to name it, so to bring that pay per view back name, we'd have to end that, and then wait a year. You have to end
yeah,
that faction, wait a year, and then you can bring that one back. But there's tons they can do. They can come up with new ones, but they
yeah.
don't need to be gimmick matches. Like even the Elimination Chamber pay per view.
It's just
But at least like see that one's a little bit different. And I think this is the same thing of like so here's why the Elimination Chamber works, just like War Games would work.
mm,
Because it's multiple men. So you have your champion, he's beaten a bunch of people, and in a short build you just have a tournament to fill in the pods at the Elimination Chamber. Because at least at Elimination Chamber you don't have a bunch of different Elimination Chamber matches. You have a men's and a women's. Sometimes a tag. Every now and then they do a tag one.
it's
The
funny they
women's
did that.
that women's tag Elimination Chamber was pretty badass.
Yeah.
So the Elimination Chamber works
Oh,
because it's
every
not
time.
just it's not two people in a story. You can make it a tournament building to that. You need to bring back King of the Ring as an actual pay per view,
Oh yeah.
and then let it mean something.
There've been some really like
Xavier Woods didn't even
historic.
get a Xavier Woods didn't even get a full year.
He
He didn't
stopped.
even get a full year.
No, he stopped wearing his king stuff a while ago.
They stopped calling him the King too, and
Mm-hmm.
they've even mentioned how he's no longer King on air.
Which is weird.
He never even got a full year. Bring that back as a pay per view, and then make the King of the Ring mean something like it used to too, where you could get a title shot out of it.
Yep. Because the
You
King of the
know,
Ring pay per view used to be where the tournament would end. That would be the final match would be there.
that is true. He did get a King Woods skin in Fall Guys, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's
By the way,
about it.
complete sidebar self promotion here. Starting next week. First off, if you're not following Devil God on Twitch, please do so. He plays League of Legends and other games. He's awesome. Please, if you wouldn't mind typing that in chat. But also, if you're on the Geeks and Noobs Twitch, thank you. If not, please go over there and follow. Super Beard Plays Poorly will be coming back, and I'm gonna do a Fall Guys game, probably at least twice a week. But it'll be donation based where people can control my controller. So if you for every dollar you donate, it's 10 seconds. I'm not allowed to jump. If you
Perfect.
subscribe, it's 30 seconds. I have to wear a blindfold, etc. Stuff like
Okay.
that. I already suck at games. I've never even gotten a win in Fall Guys yet, but whatever.
They're
I think
emphasizing
it'll be fun, and you'll get to see me panic. So that'd be fun. So,
it's
but
coming.
yeah, there are so many pay per views that could be brought back or newly developed that are not gimmick based. But I
I
think Hell
remember
in a
when
Cell's got to go. I actually like the Money in the Bank. I know I'm one of the few people that actually likes the Money in the Bank pay per view. I thought it was great at
oh
WrestleMania, but WrestleMania is already 2 days long and long enough. I think that
yeah.
having that pay per view, it gives you a solid start and end date. This is your year. So I'm okay with that pay per view. But like, I think Hell in a Cell's got to go. I think Extreme Rules has to go.
Yes.
Um, there any other gimmick ones that I would get rid of? I think Elimination Chamber can stay because you can
For the
build to
most
that
part.
properly
Yeah.
without even a lot of time. You can just have like a tournament over a couple weeks and build to that.
Which
And
they
you can make
normally do. They do
you
eliminators
basically,
for it.
as long as you time the pay per view before Elimination Chamber, you time it out that the feud that the champion was on at the time ends at that pay per view. Like, okay, we're done fighting. Now the champion comes out and said, "Now who's gonna face me now? I've beaten this
Mm.
person. Our story is done. Who now? Okay, let's have a tournament. We'll build to Elimination Chamber. There you go. Travis says that Money in the Bank has to almost stay. I agree. I don't think you can throw that onto a pay per view now. I think it has to be its own pay per view,
Yeah,
especially now because
becoming its own little thing.
you have two major ladder matches now, men's and women's. So you have that. Um, get rid of Hell in a Cell. Get rid of Extreme Rules. Elimination Chamber stays. Money in the Bank stays. What other gimmick ones are there?
I think we nailed most of them.
Oh, WWE.
They haven't done a TLC in a while, so no. I think they stopped doing TLC altogether.
I
I'm
think
kind of
TLC
glad.
is done. I think you're right. Just go back to last year. So we had Elimination Chamber, Fastlane, WrestleMania Backlash. I have a feeling that's going to stick around. I don't know why. Hell in a Cell, that's got to go. Money in the Bank stays. SummerSlam, Extreme Rules, that's got to go. Crown Jewel, I don't even want to discuss it.
No.
Survivor Series, Day One, Royal Rumble. Yeah, okay, that's it. So just Hell in a Cell and Extreme Rules. Get rid of those.
I don't
And
care for TLC.
TLC and Stairs.
Stairs.
But I think that you and here's how you bring back the legitimacy of a TLC match and a legitimacy of a Hell in a Cell. By getting rid of the pay-per-views,
Please.
and then those matches just becoming very like once or twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hell in a Cell should only happen once a year, if that. If that. Like it should be a major spectacle, a huge blow off. Huge. It doesn't even have to be at a big pay-per-view. If you do the story right, you can do it at one of the smaller pay-per-views to bring people to that pay-per-view or premium live event, whatever. But it should not be a regular thing. So if you do it once a year, it can't be on the same pay-per-view each year. Same with TLC. Now TLC you could do probably once, maybe even twice a year. A TLC match, different stories can build to that.
Yeah, you can get away with that kind of deal with TLC. Yeah. Hell in a Cell is just too big.
Yeah, but you go back to the original Cage. You go back to the it meaning something.
Mm-hmm.
When like steel cage matches don't mean anything because of that.
When was the last time we had one?
Been Omos versus Bobby Lashley on Raw.
It's been a little minute.
Yeah, Omos versus Lashley at Raw. But see, now you're just like, wait, it's been a while since we had a steel cage match. How cool would it be to see one?
Yeah, like
because we've not made them a regular thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
but the Hell in a Cell has this whole pay-per-view to itself. And it just this isn't like I feel like with them having Hell in a Cell as a whole pay-per-view, it reminds me they're trying to replicate what they were doing with what TNA did with Lockdown, but Lockdown was completely different.
Absolutely.
Because Lockdown had a whole different, it had a whole different vibe to it. It had a whole different.
And it was also one of their big four, so they built to it properly.
Yeah.
When was the last time? Travis asked, when was the last time we saw a one-on-one ladder match? I don't even remember.
Oh, Jesus.
It's been probably over a decade, at least.
Let me see.
But I mean, you're absolutely right. Like the ladder match, we had, HBK versus Razor Ramon, and based on the spectacles we see today in a ladder match, it technically doesn't. Hey, Panda. Yes, we're old. We are old, sir.
You're old.
Shut up, fetus. Yeah. The Razor, if like you look at the Razor Ramon HBK match, well, I feel it obviously still holds up. I think their second one is better, by the way, but it doesn't like in the scheme of like amazing spectacle high spots that we get now. Generico says Undertaker Jeff Hardy 2002. So again, 20 years.
No, no, it hasn't. No, no. One on one. The last one on one ladder match
Panda says,
was
Black don't crack on that beautiful damn devil god. Well, of course he don't crack. He's only 27.
so
Still a baby.
fucking beautiful. The last one on one ladder match was Santos Escobar versus Jordan Devlin, and that was April 8th of
Oh,
last year.
that's right. In NXT. We got that. That was a hellacious match, too.
And then the last main roster match for like the last main roster one on one ladder match. And I'm not. They have several triple threats, but the last main roster one-on-one ladder match was Andrade versus Rey Mysterio for the U.S. Championship, and that was back in January of 2020.
Why did I not remember that even being a ladder match?
It
Weird.
was, yeah, because after that, the only other main roster one that was recent was Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles for the IC title, and that happened in 2020.
That was a hell of a match. And what Sammy did with the handcuffs and everything, that was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Bad thing is that most ladder matches end up as TLC matches because they take advantage of the no DQ. That is true.
Okay.
And the reason we say that's a bad thing to turn into TLC matches is because TLC became a pay-per-view. TLC became too much of a household thing. It lost all magic. If you have a ladder match, of course you can bring in chairs, you can bring in tables.
You do what you want.
But because you had the TLC pay-per-view, our minds immediately went, oh, now it's a TLC match. No, it's a ladder match.
Yeah.
A TLC match technically has different rules. Technically. Yep. But, you know, it lost all luster because you made it a pay-per-view.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't take that. You shouldn't have to do that.
No.
It definitely knocks the wind out of the sails of it if you resort to making it an entire pay-per-view all on its own. It's really weird.
And real quick, Panda, as we enter the second hour, if you're still here, Panda, can you do me a huge favor and just message Phil to make sure everything's all go with the outside the brand? So we make sure they have a very, I'm going to tease this right now. They have a very big guest joining them today that you're going to want to stick around for. I just want to make sure they're going to be on time. Or if they need us to, like, stretch it out a little bit. So, Panda, if you could check on that for me, I greatly appreciate it. But they have a really big guest. A guest that, by the way, will make an appearance on this podcast in the future, in the next couple of weeks coming up. So whoever this guest is, with them, you're going to see him come back. He is a recent new friend to the Panda Wrestling Company, recently new friend on TikTok, and is a legend. And I'll just leave it at that. So we're going to have, you know, that. Yeah, I feel like if anybody could understand about getting away from the gimmicks, Bree! Hello, Bree. Ooh, I think I know. I bet you do know. Generico's like, it's me. Generico, in all seriousness, you've had some great points today. If you ever want to come on our podcast, you are more than welcome. You just hit me up, and I will have you on, no problem. Hi, I'm late, guys, but hi. Can I maybe spoil? Because I feel like you have given too much away already. And just some dude in Michigan says, I'm creeping eating dinner. By the way, just some dude, if you get a chance over on Discord, I sent you a picture of that Superman cover you wanted to see. So you can check that out there.
Famous book.
Let me find my hood and I'm in. Awesome. Once again, everybody, please go follow Devil God over on twitch.tv/DevilXGod21. He plays League of Legends and other stuff, so make sure you give him some love, get him up to affiliate. Let's help him out.
Oh, I'm halfway there. Whoa.
Copyright strike.
All
right. My camera froze again. Are you serious, Zoom? I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. There it goes. There you go. There you go. Oh, it zoomed in, too. What the hell? Hi, everybody. See me up and close now. Hello.
You can see your follicles now.
It's time for the intimate hour with Wrestling with Toxicity. Let's get all up close and personal.
Sit back, light
Ladies
a
and gentlemen,
candle, sip some
let's
wine.
bring the lights down a bit. No, sorry, getting weird. But by the way, it is 8 o'clock, so we're in the second hour. Of course, we are brought to you by Rootless Coffee. Go to rootlesscoffee.com. Use code Panda Coffee, all one word, Panda Coffee, PandaCoffee, for 15% off all non-branded coffee as well as all merchandise. Thank you, Just Some Dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, so on the comic book side of things, I have a comic book convention coming up where I'll be selling fan art. And so over on Discord, you can see one of my sketch covers I've done. Got that coming up. So, back to what we are talking about. We're seeing Triple H is bringing back longer matches, storytelling through said matches, unscripted promos,
Yes,
returns out the wazoo.
yes, sir.
So like we've all kind of guesstimated when we'll finally fall 100% into the Triple H era. I say Survivor Series. Some have said October. Some have said not until next year. But what would you want to see now? We just kind of went through like talking about changing up the pay-per-view schedule. But what is something that we've not talked about that you want to see WWE do? That is now more possible than ever.
They're
Like, is there a
working on
certain?
bringing back legitimacy.
What was that?
I said they're working on bringing back legitimacy to the oh, I thought he said he didn't want Bray Wyatt back.
I had to read it twice too. I'm gonna throw that
you
up
were
there. I had to read it twice too. Like my brain stopped working after the first sentence, or well, technically second sentence. I was like, what? I want Bray Wyatt back.
As long as Wyndham.
Let's okay. You know what? This is a great topic. Thank you, Generico. Again, we're gonna have you on the podcast here very soon one day. This is a great topic. Do you bring back the Fiend as he was? You go all the way back to the cult leader Wyatt family, Eater of Worlds, or you bring him back in some amalgamation of all three in a whole new character that, you know, I know some people want the Firefly Funhouse back. Some people, like there's, but how do you bring Bray Wyatt / The Fiend back to WWE? Let's say you're Triple H, you've talked to him, you're making plans. How do you bring him back if it's you?
It would definitely be it's gonna have to happen at a big pay-per-view. It's gonna they gotta keep it from the dirt sheets as best as they can. They gotta sneak us with that one because Bray has been very, very good at being vague on social media with everything he's posted in the past year or so since he's been gone. And they can use all of that he's been doing and just kind of slide him on in there. Nothing traditional of his old gimmicks, nothing like that. It'll have to be something completely new. Just something. It's still going to be eerie. It's still going to be Bray Wyatt, but it's not going to be too obvious. It's going to be something that'll just catch somebody off guard. No Dexter Loomis like Easter eggs. None of that. No, just and he's back type of deal. Like I want to see him come back. We've talked about this. I don't mark very often, but damn it, I'm going to mark when he shows back up.
I think that Triple H of all people will be able to see that what you have with Bray Wyatt is the potential for a new generation's version of The Undertaker. Not character-wise, but I'm talking about legacy-wise. You have somebody who is eerie and scary and fully committed to the character, and yet the fans can get behind.
Definitely.
They can be scared at first. He can be a full-on heel, but you have the ability, and we saw glimpses of that throughout Bray Wyatt's run, of this character that you're like, it's like a new generation's Undertaker, and you kind of need that. Like I feel you do, anyways. I
He's
say
still
that you bring back. I think that you kind of let the Fiend itself be dead. He's kind of talked about new beginnings, new births, reincarnation, stuff like that in his cryptic post. You find a way to, and he's always creating, he's always doing something. So you make it to where it's a new, like I said, amalgamation of the character. Kind of like when the Dead Man went to become the American Badass. Before that, it was the corporate ministry. Before that, it was the Dead Man. Like there was so many like.
Mm-hmm.
So you do something that leans on the Fiend, also leans on the cult side, the Wyatt family, like I'm always a huge fan of that kind of almost split personality style. That like, it was you had the Firefly, and I thought the Firefly Funhouse was one of the best things ever. Just good stuff. But I don't think you can bring that back necessarily. But maybe, just maybe, in some way.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the Fiend. It's as much as people love the Fiend and want to see him back. That character really was killed off, as Generico put it. It lost all its steam after being burnt in Goldberg. I remember I was at WrestleMania, watching the Randy Orton Fiend match, and the Alexa Bliss turn and all that, and it was just like, ugh, it felt like nothing. So I think there's a nostalgia value to him coming back, like that wow factor of the Fiend himself popping back up. But very quickly, the memories of what had happened to him will flood back. So I think if you bring him back, but in a new way, in a different way, in a new character, kind of like, yeah, Travis, this is a great, I feel like Bray Wyatt knows what Chris Jericho knows. Evolving is necessary, absolutely. Plus, I mean, even if they bring back the Fiend, I mean, Triple H isn't going to run it the same way. Neep, how's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Triple H isn't going to use the Fiend the same way Vince did, obviously. So it's going to feel different regardless, but I feel like it's also the best time for Bray to do something different.
Irish Neep.
I feel like he's had plenty of time to sit and think about what he wanted to do. And look, here's the deal. Bray Wyatt doesn't really work anywhere else.
No.
Maybe Impact. Maybe, because you do have some, supernatural-like characters there that it might have worked, but it definitely doesn't work in AEW. Doesn't work in New Japan.
The production value is not the same.
Yeah. So I feel like, Bray understood that, and
definitely
that's why we haven't seen him anywhere else. And he's focused on doing, he's worked on a horror movie here recently.
He got a family. He just started.
Yeah. So
it's a lot of things that are falling into why he didn't go anywhere else. Because I like we just said, the production value behind that character, the entirety of it. It needs that kind of funding. It needs that kind of backing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we know that, like, as you said, the Fiend, and I'm gonna throw this question out the chat as well. We're seeing this new era. We're seeing these returns, and I'm gonna eliminate the Fiend, and I'm gonna eliminate Johnny Gargano as the obvious choices of who you want to see come back.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Yeah. So who out there do you also want to see brought back? We obviously don't want to overload the roster.
No, you don't want to over encumber.
We don't want to do overkill here and bringing like somebody back every single week. Let's not overdo it. But if there's one or two more people out there that have not been signed, minus Johnny Gargano and minus the Fiend, who would you want to see? Neep says EC3.
No. No.
I know about that one.
No.
Because I didn't really care for him. I didn't even care for him in TNA or Impact.
He doesn't like topes. He gets no votes from me.
He doesn't like what?
Tope. He doesn't like tope conjuros and flips. No.
But Neep, you're entitled to your opinion, and your opinion is valid.
Yeah.
It's sign EC3 just to kill CYN.
Please.
Wait. Oh, okay. You know what? Speaking of CYN, if they bring back Braun Strowman, do they bring him back as Adam Shear or Braun Strowman?
That's a good question.
Would Triple H even bring him back?
Hey, I have to. 2 seconds.
Yeah, you're good. I got this. So I'm gonna throw that question out there to you. Does Triple H bring back Braun Strowman? And if they do they bring him back as Adam Shear or Braun Strowman? Erica says they don't bring him back because he's useless and we've seen his tricks. True. But I mean, I like a lot of the rumors as to why he got cut was because he was too expensive and that they had a brand new big man in Omos. But Triple H isn't about the big man thing or having just one big man. He says keep him Braun, in his opinion. I would agree. I believe if you bring him back to the company, you bring him back as Braun Strowman. I don't think he's done enough with CYN to establish Adam Shear. Generico says Matt Cardona, and I love that one. But I also think that Matt has done so well for himself out there on the outside that him coming back doesn't make sense to him. If what I just said made sense. I feel like he's done so much and has enough control over everything that even with, I'm sure there's respect between the two. I don't know if Matt Cardona wants to go back to a big company or not. He didn't even sign with AEW. I think he likes being more of in control of his destiny in a way. So, while I'd like to see Matt Cardona come back, I don't know if it happens. Who else, guys? Like I said, you can't say Fiend, you can't say Johnny Gargano. Or Candice LeRae, you can't say her either. What are some of the women you want to see come back? We already believe that Sasha and Naomi will be back soon, especially since Naomi has been posting things recently on her social media with Sasha. So I feel like they're coming back. But are there any other women? Like, I'll throw out the name Tegan Nox. I think Tegan Nox did not get her fair share and got thrown to the wayside way too early. So I would like to see Tegan Nox come back. Jericho, I might pull my invitation now that you said that. Shane McMahon? Really? Shame. Shame on you. Panda knows. We were there, man. We were at the Rumble. We saw what led to his firing. He's gone for good reason.
Oh, Jesus.
But I want to know what women would you like to see come back? And like I said, I've already thrown out Tegan Nox. I think Tegan Nox needs to come back. She's awesome.
I feel like Kairi Sane could come back and be in a healthy role.
Yes, I know it was a joke. I know it was. It would be funny, but we don't need to be the butt of that joke as fans.
No.
Kairi Sane is always a possibility. So Now let's look at not who to bring back, but obviously Triple H being in charge versus Vince McMahon
Hmm.
opens the doors for more people to sign first time with WWE.
Ooh,
You're going to have people who are more likely,
there's a lot of guys
and
in
Travis
early.
already brings up a great name. Find a way to sign Switchblade instead of bringing someone back. That would be great, but I do believe that he is contracted to both New Japan and AEW right now.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't see him going anywhere, but it is a good name to throw out there.
that's true. Um, Man, that's a long list of people who've never touched down in WWE who are still in their physical prime who can still go.
I mean, there's the obvious ones like MJF.
Yeah,
I'd love to see him in the WWE, especially now with more freedom on the mic. Kenny
definitely.
Omega is another one.
And what's weird is both of them have stated they wouldn't, abstain to joining. I think Kenny
Yeah,
wouldn't mind closing out his career that kind of a run.
yeah.
Uh, it would be great. It would be solid. They're both really talented. They both have what it takes to fit into the mold.
Wardlow.
Wardlow would be.
Oh,
I would love to see a match between
Wardlow would
Wardlow.
go on a Goldberg esque run, like WCW early days Goldberg run in WWE. That would,
Wardlow.
but it would make sense.
It would. Look at him.
What does
Fuck.
Osprey's contract look like? Ooh.
Not sure. And he's wrestled in WWE during the Cruiserweight Classic. He's
Uh
touched
huh.
down. Guys like him, Zack Sabre Jr. They've all shown up in WWE. Kota Ibushi as well. So
Uh
they're not
huh.
unfamiliar with the landscape. It would just, and then the way he is now, he's not just the flippy dude. He can he can do some great heel. His match with Orange Cassidy proved that he's
That
just
was
more
great.
than
Yeah, that was really good.
it's more than flips. It's more than flips and kicks with him. Coda,
Great ring psychologist.
no, Coda is no Coda's still he's signed with New Japan, as
Yeah.
far as I know.
Well, how about this? How about this? Let's go back to Survivor Series. What if Triple H? So we've already talked about this once before that we could potentially get a Forbidden Door esque thing,
Yeah,
and it's going to take probably a year or two to get there. But what if Triple H and Tony Khan are able to work something out, and we do a Survivor Series, but it's AEW versus WWE?
that would break the world.
You also make it in a way where it's 50-50 by the end of the night,
Yes,
as far
no
as who went
true.
over. The wins loss, you always make it 50-50. Or maybe like a 60-40 one year, 60-40 the other next year. But then you can make Survivor Series this Forbidden Door S thing. Or 1 year it's Survivor Series. The next year it's the next Forbidden Door pay-per-view. That kind of thing. And that way you don't necessarily have to sign these people. You still get these dream matches.
But look at how WCW and New Japan used to work back in the '90s.
Yeah.
At the talent exchanges, seeing Jushin Liger on WCW TV, it's doable. It's very doable. Hell, at one point, New Japan and WWE had a talent exchange,
Yep. Yep.
albeit it was brief, but it still happened.
And I think that
It's
I know there some people have said that under Triple H it's even less likely to happen,
why.
but I don't understand that. Because I think Triple H understands some of these guys he wants, some of these guys he wants to sign, but he knows they're locked into contracts, but he would also be like, but it's good for business. It's good to get this crossover, and it's good to put it on our pay-per-view. Like, so he would understand. New Japan WCW gave us some shitty Starcades. That is true.
Yeah,
That is
I was just
true.
making, I was just stating
But
the
it
fact.
happened. At least it happened.
Yeah, yeah, I was just stating the fact. So I wasn't saying it
Um,
was amazing.
yeah, it wasn't amazing, but I mean, I also think that like WWE tried when the Forbidden Door was getting first talked about. WWE tried right before Bryan Danielson left. Hey, let's get New Japan to work with us, but work with us exclusively. And of course, New Japan said no. Yes, the point still stands. It was just a side point to
Yeah.
that point. Yes. But now I think Triple H would be more open to like, hey, we know you work with AEW. We'd like to work with you too. Doesn't
Mhm.
have to be exclusively. But we could get people like Osprey. We could get people like Switchblade if he. I think he is under contract with AEW though. But if he's only New Japan,
He's with
we could
Impact
get
more.
people like that. We could get the rest of the bloodline that's over in New Japan. Like, there's so many things that we could get.
You could get the match of matches between God and the Usos.
Yeah,
And they've been jaw jacking for years.
yeah,
They've been jaw jacking about that for some years. And the funny thing is, it wouldn't be well. Tama Tonga has never been in WWE, but Tonga Loa has. He spent a brief time in WWE as Camacho, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. Juice Robinson, you got to remember, he used to wrestle for WWE.
yep. He was in NXT as that environmentalist character.
What was it? It was really
Crap. That was his name.
CJ something. I'm gonna look it up now since I got it in front of me.
But think about this. Think about this match. Let's just throw out another dream match. Jeff Cobb versus Big E.
CJ Parker. That was his
CJ
name.
Parker. Imagine Jeff, like, we get Big E back, 100% healthy, which, by the way, his recovery seems to be going very well.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be longer than expected, he said, but it is going well. But we get. Yes, it was CJ Parker. You were right, Generico. We get him back, and then we get build, and then we get Jeff Cobb versus Big E. How phenomenal would that be?
Big meaty man slapping meat.
But it would be such a hellacious match, man. Then you got people like Shinsuke and anybody on the NJPW roster.
Because he's wrestled a lot of them.
Yeah. Juice
I would
versus
like
Kevin
to see.
Owens.
I
Yeah.
would like to see.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
With a built-in story.
Yeah, I forgot. I would like to see Shinsuke versus, and I know it's a long shot because he's top dog. He's one of the top dogs. Has been for forever. But I would like to see Shinsuke versus Okada.
I was gonna say the same thing.
The two lead, like the original leader of Chaos and the current leader of
Yeah.
Chaos.
What
Because
about we
they
get
never.
No, they've never fought. But what about
No.
this? What if we get Will Ospreay versus Ricochet to run it back, but on a WWE major pay-per-view?
Oh, that would be great. I mean, hell, they did it with AJ and Shinsuke.
Yeah.
They did. It can
But
definitely be done again.
one of Stone Cold's all-time favorite wrestling matches is Will Ospreay versus Ricochet.
It was a
And
great match.
he's told both men that. It is in his top 5 of all time.
If you go and
But
watch
imagine
any
you
of their matches,
but go put that on WrestleMania or SummerSlam or Survivor Series in front of that crowd, give them 20 minutes,
uh,
it would destroy. It would just it would just it, everybody's mind would explode because yes, they are high spot guys, but they are both ring psychologists
yes,
to the nth degree, and they would tell such an amazing story through all these incredible moves and their constant counterattacks and the way they do. So I honestly believe, and again, just my opinion, and if I'm proven wrong, then I'm wrong. I'm not going to slap anybody or get upset about it because I'm not an irrational douchebag. My opinion, I think we are at a point where this is more likely to happen than ever. Some kind of, even if it's a one-off, even if it's just a one-off, we get in, it's not a yearly thing, we get a one-off. I want another Styles knock feud that doesn't end with constant Dick Kick City. Generica, what you got against Dick Kick City? What are you trying to say?
Oh my God.
No, I agree. Like that was just it was ridiculous. It was like
It was. The first one was okay, but then they just well, AJ, when are you gonna work up?
it was literally just because Vince McMahon thought it was funny as shit. All the
Yeah.
dick, you know. See, I'd like to see like I'd almost like to see them both go into it as faces. Like
When did
you
that?
thought was going to happen after the world, after he won the Royal Rumble, and then they had the match
Mm.
at Mania. They went into it as faces, and then the heel turn at the end. But like, just do it like that. But I'd also, yes, it
It
was
was.
so
It was.
weird.
Yeah.
It was the Forbidden Door thing would be a great way to really bring Survivor Series back to life. Yeah, I agree.
Very
And if
true.
again, even if it's just a one and done, it's almost like a reset for the entire brand of Survivor Series.
Yeah, we got to breathe fresh life back into that. It's got such a great history as a pay per view, and it needs it.
Survivor Series used to be my favorite over the Royal Rumble
I was a
way back in the day. But I'm talking
I was
like
a Royal Rumble fan.
late 80s, early 90s. Besides the 92 Survivor Series, which is we'll talk about that. We're not going to
Yeah,
talk about
well,
that.
yeah.
So even like I said, you don't make it a yearly thing, even if it's just a one and done between AEW and WWE. You just make this massive mega pay-per-view
Mhm.
run by both. Bring in New Japan. Just make it like this massive weekend event. 2-day weekend event. That guy says, lies and slanders. McMahon never found dick kicks funny, nor did he find fart jokes or sex jokes funny. Hashtag sarcasm is my ally.
Or puking, or
Yeah.
puking. Let's
Yep.
not forget, he did not like draws. He did not like the fact that Darren Drozdov could throw up on command. That was not hilarious to him. Or the fact that he made him do it in front of Jerry Briscoe, who had a very weak stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's gonna puke.
Yep.
Poor Jerry Briscoe.
Had somebody ask on Provo how to resist shaving. Well, you've come to the right place as Superbeard. I can tell you how to resist shaving. Just don't. Throw the razors away and don't touch it. Trust me. Not shaving is the greatest thing I've ever done in my life.
This is my version of not shaving right here. All of this up here.
Yeah,
That's
my
my
hair is
version.
getting long too. If you make this a whole weekend, I'm more intrigued by what WWE superstars end up on Starcast panels.
Hmm,
Huh. Who
it's
do
not
you
bad.
put on a Starcast panel?
It's a damn good question.
A damn good question.
There's plenty of people you can put on there, and let's not relegate it to just legends. Have some mixed company in there.
Like I almost feel like the more I think about this Forbidden Door thing, it's a dream of dream to see a true Forbidden Door if AEW and WWE could do an event like that right. I almost feel like the entire world would end.
It would. That's
Like
what I
it would
said.
just be, it would be absolutely too much for them to take in. But when I'm talking about you could do a Bullet Club panel with Styles, Bucks, Omega, etc. Yeah, the Good Brothers. Because here's the thing, I'm I'm talking WWE, AEW, New Japan, Impact, and even some of the better independent people coming in, like a Matt Cardona, like bringing in people.
GCW and
You make
all
it,
of it.
you make it
Ooh,
a big ass like Saturday's a 5 hour event, Sunday's a 5 hour event. It is a big. It's like it's fucking It's Coachella for fucking wrestling. It is the
yes,
Woodstock for sports entertainment. You just make it like that.
that's
An
what.
all day. Make it an all day festival. Fuck. We'll something like this. No one's gonna complain about the time, and we're all gonna show up. Well, people are gonna find things to complain about, but we are all gonna show up.
Ropechella, I like it. I
Generico
like
again
it.
with the win. Ropechella.
I like it. 10 out of fucking 10. I dig it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, now that Vince has stepped down, there's a chance it could happen. I believe so. I know there's, like I said, there are some pundits out there in the dirt sheets who think that Triple H is worse when it comes to the Forbidden Door stuff than even Vince McMahon was. I don't see that at all.
Triple H
Don't forget,
is
this is the guy.
why.
This is the guy who rode a tank to WCW when those two were legit feuding. You know, he
Yeah.
was all about it. Like, so here's the thing: if we could get Ropechella, which I'm going to call it from now on,
Oh yeah, definitely.
that's brilliant. Make it a all-day 2-day festival,
Mm-hmm.
and you could even like make it like kind of an outdoor festival. You could have multiple rings. You could
Oh,
have like you know, you have like this, like if you go, like I remember going to the Mayhem Festival for a few years.
that's a lot of
You
stuff.
had the main stage where like Disturbed and Slipknot and Megadeth played, but then you had like the side stage, which places like 36 Crazy Fist and Five Finger Death Punch
Mm-hmm.
and you know other bands played. You can do that, and you can time it out. This will also Headlock Stock, another great name. See, now
Nice.
I don't know what to call it because that's a
Nope.
good one too. Headlock Stock. Damn it.
Sweet
If we can
Jesus.
get them to work together, I want Triple H to work one match as Tara Risen in AEW. That'd be awesome. Ah, shit. Never mind. He's retired. Yeah, his health won't allow him to do it.
Yeah, we're not
His
doing that.
retirement is legit. But
Yeah.
we have gone way off topic, and I don't care. This is brilliant. Brilliant.
I mean, we're talking about fucking wrestling.
Yeah, this is brilliant. So if we get Headlock Stock or Ropechella or whatever you want to call it, because I like them both,
Right?
and I don't know what to do with now. By the way, anybody in graphic design wants to mock up a fake poster for this,
Oh,
that would be amazing. Night 1 Ropechella, night 2 is Headlock Stock.
yes.
Yeah. Night 1, night 2. We can get Ric Flair to do his 10,000th last match. Yeah. And we could do a casket match because he'll probably need one. That was an awful joke. I'm sorry. But it's true. It's true. It's damn true. Throw an angle thrown in there. But
Steamboat said no.
you can do your early on. You can have Steamboat will have nothing to do with it. He's already proven that. He already said nope. He wouldn't be at Ric Flair's last match. He had nothing to do with it. He wouldn't do it.
No.
But you can have legends wrestle.
Yep.
Early on in the day. Then you could have some I know you're teasing. You could have some of your little bit more hardcore stuff, midday, something like that on your side stages and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of play some things out. Think about like WrestleMania Access, but like for this event. And the thing is, building up to it, you can still make it almost like WrestleMania Access, where you have a week of things, signings, Starcast, panels, you know, and build. This event would be absolute insanity. It'd be one of those events that, like, just like Woodstock was for music, if you are a wrestling fan, it's like, were you there? Were you there for this? It is a monumental moment. Oh, no, I want to read this one first. Wait, I got it. Ric Flair's last match. Seriously, this is it match. Flair versus Gypsy Joe. Wow. Erica says the first Mania I went to, Access was just in the malls around the city, not even one location. Yeah, you just do it. You do it in a way. You have to pick a spot. And I'm not saying this because I'm in Florida. I personally hate Florida and I want to move. But I think Florida is the place you do it. You find the right time of year to do it. But Florida is such a hotbed for wrestling. AEW basically it grew right out of Jacksonville. There are plenty of places you can do it. And with Tony Khan's father supposedly building this giant complex around the new stadium for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What better way to promote that than to have this huge event there? And that could be how, hey, look, AEW says we'll do this with you, but you got to do it here. You do it in Jacksonville, there'll be hotels, there'll be casinos, there'll be all kinds of stuff all in this complex.
Yeah.
Spend the whole week having, what is essentially access, but for this, with signings, and come pose with this belt, come pose with that belt, like all that stuff, all of it. And then Saturday and Sunday, just all day nonstop wrestling. If they were smart,
recently.
They were smart. Do it like Comic-Con or Dragon Con, where you have one central location, multiple hotels close to one another, have it as traveling from building to building for events. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I was they kind of already did the dispatch during WrestleMania weekend, WrestleCon.
Hmm?
Yeah, they had a WrestleCon, so it would be kind of like the same idea.
So here's the thing, Generico. No, it really comes down to whether the multi-billionaire owner wants to pay for it or not, or make the city pay for it. So back when the Jacksonville Jaguars signed Urban Meyer, that terrible decision as a head coach, part of that deal was, if I'm coming here, you got to build this complex around here, make it like what they're doing in Boston and what they're doing eventually in Chicago, because they're moving out to Arlington. Everybody's building these complexes around their stadiums. Tony Khan's father, I can't remember his first name,
I don't know,
as the owner of Jacksonville Jaguars, still wants to build that complex. And so, and again, he's one of the richest owners in all of the NFL. Believe it or not, there's only 3 or 4 billionaires in all 32 team owners.
Shaheed, okay.
Shaheed, yeah. Thank you.
I think I've seen like a picture of the
guy. He's got a fantastic mustache. But that's a place you could do it at, or any one of these other complexes. Weather permitting, you find the right place, the right time of year. If you're going to do it in Florida, you got to do it in October, November. Or you got to do it January, February.
You don't want to do it during hurricane season.
Yeah, you got to do it outside of the summertime, outside of hurricane season, outside of rainy season. So your window is from mid-October to mid-February. You could do it in Florida.
Plug the coffee.
How many times I got to plug the coffee, man? I'm just kidding. I love Rootless Coffee. Rootlesscoffee.com. Use code Panda Coffee, PANDACOFFEE, PANDACOFFEE. 15% off all non-branded coffee and all merchandise. Go to rootlesscoffee.com, the only coffee for the wrestling fans here at the Panda Wrestling Company. Absolutely. Like, I don't know why this wasn't thought about before. This seems like Danhausen, Kaufhausen, not eligible for discount, is delicious. Yeah, because unfortunately it is a branded coffee, and so the branded ones don't get the discount because obviously they have to pay branding. But there is a similar one. Oh god, which one was it? Crap. There is a similar. There's one that's very similar to the Danhausen one on the non-branded version. That's very good. It also depends. Are you a dark roast guy? You a light roast guy? You a medium roast? All it depends like how you want to do it. Like for me, I'm 100% an iced coffee guy as it is. So I have to brew my coffee differently as it is.
I don't drink coffee, so it's just beyond me.
What? Doesn't drink coffee?
Nope.
Baby, ridiculous.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, I don't like. I'm sure at some point we've all kind of we found the name of the Wrestling with Toxicity coffee. Crap! It's either that or fetus. It's got to be one of the two. Its sponsors are going, he doesn't drink coffee! Don't worry, I drink enough for both of us. Plus he can buy some merch. That'd be fine. Don't worry about it. We got this.
Yeah, I'll buy merch.
I'm sure as fans, and I don't think I'm speaking out of line here, I'm sure we've all kind of fantasy booked something like this. Definitely. Like I remember even back in the day, like Jesus Christ, Jericho. think fetus is more tropical, but crap is slightly less gross.
Flip a coin on that one.
There are so many things I want to say that I'm not going to because I don't want us to get kicked off of Twitch. Okay, I'm crying. I'm crying because I'm holding back. Oh my god. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I think that there has been plenty of times we've all fantasy booked. Like I said, even growing up, I remember like, what if WCW and WWE worked together and had a show? Like I've done that as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It just never felt possible. It felt like the same as fantasizing when you win the lottery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now, while it's still a crazy long shot, it feels much closer.
It's a lot more plausible because of the people, because of the powers that be. You know,
Yeah.
it's like that. You have Triple H, who is very much in touch with how much fans love indie wrestlers, and he enjoys indie wrestling himself. And he wants to expand the wrestling platform for everybody to be accepted. He wants that kind of thing to go on. He's given indie darlings a place to call home in NXT, and then they move up to the main roster and continue to shine.
Yeah.
He would. I don't think he would be against doing a super show or a co-show or anything like that with any other wrestling company. It's just a matter of booking and discussions between him and whoever runs these other companies.
Okay. Yeah, who hasn't played with wrestling figures and built their own super show? Exactly. The Forbidden Door show proved even if you had your mid-tier guys in the show, people will go, people will watch, people want to see something like this. Yes. Also, on a side note, who here watches Up, Up, Down, Down?
I do what I can.
Who remembers during the pandemic the party?
Oh, yeah.
And the massive Uno games we got from Xavier Woods, Tyler Breeze, Cesaro, and Adam Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have this super show. And on Friday night, before the big event, we get a live on the main stage, the party reunion Uno game.
I would fucking love it.
I would shit myself. I just like, how amazing would that be? And we also get some gameplay. Like, think about, like, have you guys seen the video of where the New Day took on Kenny and the Young Bucks in Street Fighter?
It was great.
We get that again. You get an esports tournament during the week, but you have it all be WWE and AEW, all those guys playing. Somebody owes me a shit ton of money. Like, I am booking you the perfect show. I haven't even mentioned one match yet.
No.
I am setting you up with the greatest festival.
We're just talking about segueing into the shows.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten into what would actually take place.
Yeah. Because part of that also depends on who's healthy. It depends on where you make the stories go. But you have an endless Blackpool Combat Club versus Bullet Club versus the Bloodline.
That'd be wild.
Versus the New Day.
You trying
versus
to make
Violent
it explode?
versus Violent by Design in a massive match.
You are trying to make people's heads explode, sir.
Yeah. Like I said, I really just want Will Ospreay versus Ricochet again too. I just want that.
Somebody threw out there the Bullet Club Mount Rushmore, the reunion. So that would be who? Balor, Styles, Omega, and
Good Brothers.
Yeah, the Good Brothers.
Or we do
4 OGs.
We do FTR versus the Briscoes versus the Usos versus the New Day versus the Good Brothers versus GOD.
Oh.
In a TLC match.
Throw Red Dragon in there.
Yeah.
Or Red Dragon in there. You have to. You have to respect the Red
Or you
Dragon.
even do like a gauntlet style tag team elimination match.
Winner take all type deal.
Yeah, like you just create a new belt for this event. Like
That would be
like the end all be all champion, like the end all be all tag champion, the end all be all world champion, like whatever. You know, you can. There's all kinds of things you could do.
definitely hell yeah.
Panda, are you still in chat? I haven't seen you lately. I haven't heard from Phil either.
Great
I don't want to.
stuff.
I haven't heard from Phil yet, so I don't want to like go off the air and have dead air like we had last week. So trying to keep an eye on that. As we're running up, we got our last 10 minutes of show here. I could do this for a whole nother episode. I could. This is so much fun, and I
Oh, yeah.
think part of what's making it fun is because of the fact that we have, like I said, that long shot just got closer. That long shot feels so much closer now. Feels like it's in view. Feels like something that could happen. And even though, like, I know there's a little bit of controversy with how Tony Khan is, like, some things have come out recently that he's not the easiest to work with. Whether they're true or not, I don't know. Again, this is all dirt sheet, so we don't know. But one thing that has been public is Tony Khan has been very complimentary to WWE, and even more recently has talked about how it's gotten even better. You could do NXT versus AEW Dark.
NXT versus ROH.
Yeah.
Though I will say I don't care for how Khan has said that ROH is going to be their quote developmental area. I'm like, that's not a developmental area.
Well, apparently there's some problems there too because he still hasn't even filed the ownership paperwork.
What the fuck?
That recently came out, so I don't know what's going on there. But Tony Khan, it's still a new. You got to remember, this is still a new business to him.
Yeah, but
He gets his
it's a
ducks in a
business.
row. He between him and Triple H, they branch out to each other. Something could be done here. This is this is so much more a legit possibility now than it's ever been in the history of the. I think that honestly, like, I say we give the Triple H era like a year of true building, watching it. I don't want to say dominate, but like just be better.
Yeah.
And then, but AEW continue to grow as well because they're learning. They're still going through their growing pains. They're still learning. Both of
Definitely.
these,
There's just the first few years.
yeah, just both of them continue to grow, and somebody plant a seed now, kind of throw it out there between the two of them. Get conversations kind of started, something, but I think it would be great. Agreed. Levesque needs 1 year of time to show what he can truly do.
Yes, he does. Because I feel
I
like
just
if
think
he
from a
can
consistency standpoint,
yeah,
I think we're already seeing what he can do. I think by Survivor Series we'll really see what he can do. But I think agreed, we need to see a year of consistency.
yeah. No, it's not going to be perfect, but if you can,
Never will
if
be.
you can a certain quality to your programming and your product, you'll keep your fan base and build a new one on top of it because we saw
Yeah.
what he did with Black and Gold. We saw what he did with NXT Black and Gold. It was some of the best shit I've ever seen, and I feel like he can double down on that and make something even bigger with the entirety of WWE. You know, Raw, SmackDown, NXT all together. He can take it to way bigger levels than what it is, what it has been in the past however many years now.
1,000%. 1,000%. We're gonna see. It will be more consistent than what we've seen for the past 2 or 3 years of Vince and cronies. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
I also want to see Triple H bring back some of his creative team that Vince booted.
Yeah.
Like the ones who haven't signed anywhere yet. I definitely want to see that because they were good at what they were doing.
Absolutely.
Road Dogg didn't deserve to get booted.
I wish Regal. Granted, I love what he's doing in AEW, but I kind of wish he was still available as well.
Exactly. It seemed like Vince was just going down the line and just and yeeting anybody who Triple H handpicked for backstage work. I mean, like a handful of guys were safe from the X.
Well, you know, there's a bunch of people like there's like Pat Buck and other producers that are probably like, "Oh, I quit just a little bit too soon."
Mm-hmm. Hush money was needed.
I can imagine that.
It's possible. I mean, shit. We don't know what kind of contracts any of these people have signed. We don't know if they're doing multi years or just 1 years. You never know. Also, you have to remember this. Tony Khan was very vocal about him not being able to re-sign everyone that he signed in bulk once their contract's up. He
Yeah,
pretty much already has his picks as far as wrestlers and staffing goes of who he's gonna already let go when their contracts are up. As to how many people that's gonna be, who knows? But we know the main event people, he's definitely lobbying to keep them, but anybody from mid card down,
yeah,
he's not looking for it. Also, you never know if any of the guys in the upper card are happy. You don't know. You don't know
yeah.
what they
It
got
it,
going
it
on.
it's definitely hard to say. But I think we'll go ahead and leave it on this note. We're gonna prepare
Yeah,
for outside the brand. Like I told you, Phil and the gang have a very special guest coming up. This guy is a new friend of the channel. Somebody we've all met on TikTok, somebody who's a legend in the business, and we're all looking forward to speaking with over the next few weeks on all our different podcasts.
have I met him?
Uh, what?
Have I met him?
Maybe, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, I think that I really, guys, I want to discuss this Dream Festival more. I think this is something that, given another week of TV, when we come back next week, this is something we can kind of jump on again. So, guys, give some thoughts on some Dream matches you want to see, and let's dive deeper into this whole Dream Festival, this Dream Wrestling Festival we've talked about.
Definitely. Hell yeah.
Maybe
Take notes.
throw some ideas out on TikTok, and we can start there, and we'll bounce some ideas back and forth. And so between that and another week of wrestling, we'll see how everything's going. Everybody, once again, thanks to Rootless Coffee. Go to rootlesscoffee.com. Use the code Panda Coffee for 50% off all non-branded coffee and all merchandise. That's PandaCoffee as your promo code. Rootlesscoffee.com. As always, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Please go to twitch.tv/devilxgod21. Give him a follow there. If you're here on the PWC Twitch, please give us a follow. If it's Facebook, please give us a like. If it's Twitter, please give us a like. If you're on the Geeks and Noobs Twitch, please give us a follow there. Please subscribe to both channels if you can. I understand money's tight right now, but if you can, it helps us out greatly. If you're on my YouTube, that's the TGN Network's YouTube, please give us a like and a subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute honor speaking to all of you guys today, as it is every week. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. We're going to have tons of fun. I really want to dive into this festival. Let's dream book this thing.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be a blast. I want posters made up, a whole gimmick involved. Let's go to town. Have a good time. So again, stick around for Outside the Brand with Phil Lamette and gang coming up with a very, very special guest, and we will see you soon.